I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight to learn about the grant process. My name is Tammy Vories, and I'm with the Kent Business Center, and part of our initiative is to actually have trainings each week so that way we could educate and collaborate as far as with all the processes and procedures around the grant process. And so initially today, my goal will be to give you a high-level overview of the grant process. Initially, just so you know, the forms that we're going to be discussing, proposal clearance form, budget justification, notice of award, award checklist, cost accounting disclosure form, award summary, and then, hey, you've got the grant in the door. So now that we kind of know, hey, here's the big picture, now let's get into a little more detail. Initially, you have to have a proposal clearance form. So if y'all want to pick up your A document, what this does is internally, this is a document for us to say, hey, we know that there's grant money out there and we're interested. We want to apply for this money. So we'll fill out this proposal clearance form, and we call it a PCF. So here at the university, acronyms are huge. So, when you hear PCF, this is the page they're talking about. With the PCF, you always have to have a budget. What this is going to do is it's going to list exactly, your grant will tell you, hey, it's $50,000. Then you've got to find a way to, spend $50,000 and account for the people and the different supplies for your budget. Then the next page, C, this is your budget justification. And what this is it's given a little more detail to say, hey, you selected these individuals, what are they going to be doing on this project? What are the deliverables of this project? And then you'll get very specific as far as how you're going to meet the goals and the requirements of the grant. Now, once this process happens, it goes to grants management, and then initially you're talking anywhere from 3 to 6 months, sometimes longer. You're in that pool and you're waiting, hey, am I going to get funded? Don't know. Well, then you'll get this nice little piece of paper, our example D, and this is like our notice of award. And so initially with our notice of award, what that does is our sponsor, what they'll do is they'll send it and say, hey, this is the notice of award, this is the date we're issuing it, this is going to be your budget period, and this is your project period, because some of them are multiple grants. Sometimes you may initially apply for a 5-year, but due to budget constraints, they may knock down a year or two and say, hey, I know that you applied for 5 years, but you're only going to get 3. And so initially, this notice of award is going to let you know, hey, this is exactly how much we're going to give you and the time frames, and this just gives you the specifics of it. So once we get the notice of the award in the door, then what we're going to do is we're going to fill out what they call an award checklist. And so what this does is this lets everybody know that, hey, these are the major requirements. So if you want to pick up your award checklist, because initially the most important thing is when you talk about funding source, this is the number that you're always going to use. So this is one of those things that you need to understand is the chart field, or what they'll call as the speed type, and it'll be GB 181224. So that is like anytime they spend any money, they'll say, hey, what's your speed type? That's what you're going to give them, because that triggers, being able to spend on this grant. So what the award checklist does, and they call this, the acronym for this is ACF. So initially, this is going to let you know, hey, is it a federal award? Because if it's a federal award, then we have to, have additional documentation. Hey, is there going to be a sub-award? Is there going to be other universities or, other community involvement? Then, you'll have to check yes or no. Then you go on down. And this just kind of says, hey, this is an instruction, grant. It's on campus, and this just kind of lets you know that yes or no, the federal uniform guidance is applicable. So, you know, hey, do we need to have the cost accounting standards form? So this kind of lets you know in, you know, short order all the information on the grant, when your reporting's due, when your progress report is due, any special terms, and then it'll give you your budget. There's where your actual subawards would go, any certifications, where are you going to primarily have this grant, where are y'all going to work, and then your people. So that's in a nutshell your ACF. And then in the event that it is a federal grant, then you have to have that cost accounting standards form. And so this is your CAS, and this is where you need to kind of take that budget and say, hey, we're going to have pens, paper, you know, clipboards for, you know, data collection or surveys, you know, so you'll just get real specific with your CAS, because this is kind of like your accounting bookkeeping piece. And so once you submit that to grants management, then they're going to say, okay, all your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, it's time for us to load the budget. So what happens is they'll actually send us an award summary. They'll give us, hey, this is your speed type, this is what you're going to charge when you need to spend money. And so it just kind of gives a breakdown of all the information, gives the budget again. So this gives a very high level overview of exactly what the grant requirements are. And so initially that's the kind of broad picture, because you're going to have your proposal clearance form, your budget justification, notice of award, award checklist form, cost accounting disclosure form, award summary, and then guess what? Your PI gets money in the door and they're able to spend, because congratulations, you got the grant. So, do you all have any questions or concerns?
Yes, do you have to have a proposal clearance form for every grant?
Just internal. Internally you do not, externally you do. So any external grants you have to have a PCF. Internal grants, it's a different process. So, and we'll go over that in a different training.
How specific does the budget have to be?
If it's a federal award, it has to be very specific, and that's where the CAS comes into play. But, you know, as you kind of go through that grant life, so by the time you get to your second year, you've got it going on, you know exactly what to do, and at any point in time, you can revise the CAS, so just know that.
Can a department fill out a CAS instead of a PI?
We'll help with the CAS, but initially we want the PI to sign off on that, because they're ultimately responsible. So that's, you know, those are great questions. And initially, we kind of make these trainings short and sweet, but we will have trainings each week. And so just know that you can make notes, and if you want to send me, you know, questions, concerns, or ideas for additional training, then I'll get an agenda together and we'll go ahead and get that started. So I appreciate you all coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.